I'm at peace. So New England Patriots quarterback and future Hall of Famer Tom Brady is approaching rare air, particularly if he wins this upcoming Super Bowl. There are conversations that, should he be victorious, that he'll be approaching the great Michael Jordan as far as greatest American team sport athlete of all time. At least that is what Mr. Max Kellerman is saying that many sports aficionados will try to allege. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
We'll start with the Super Bowl, though, gentlemen. Tom Brady will play in his 8th come Sunday. He's won 2 out of the last 3 years, yeah. But this time around, he's 40 years old. Stephen A., does Brady have more to gain or lose in this particular Super Bowl?
Believe it.
Let me say this before Stephen A. starts. I believe that Tom Brady certainly has more to gain. I don't think that he really has anything to lose if he loses this Super Bowl, other than to his detractors who are going to try to diminish him anyway. Tom Brady has already won 5 Super Bowls, and you have people on the internet talking about how he has been the beneficiary of a fake and fabricated career. According to them, the NFL is in cahoots with the Patriots to help them win games, which makes completely no sense, because if the NFL were truly in cahoots with one team, they would not be exposing that team to the degree that they expose the Patriots. When you're confederate with an organization, you don't suspend their quarterback for 4 games for doing something that the vast majority of quarterbacks in the NFL do. Do the Patriots cheat, quote unquote? Absolutely. They just happen to be smarter and do it better than everyone else. It's like, 2 people can rifle through a garbage can, and one person can find garbage and another person can find something that can transform their life. It's not about what people do. It's about what they do with what they do. So let's see what Mr. Stephen A. Smith has to say.
Believe it or not, as hard as it is to comprehend, I'm going to say he has more to lose. He's a 5-time champion, so if you look at it from that perspective, of course not. But I'm going beyond that, Max. Here's what I'm thinking. Tom Brady, the 5-time champion, universally recognized as the greatest quarterback of the modern-day era.
And I disagree with that, by the way, that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback. For me, the greatest quarterback will always be Joe Montana. Joe Montana was a quarterback who had a brain like Tom Brady, who could scramble like Aaron Rodgers, who was as accurate as Drew Brees. Joe Montana was, he was all that in the Hot Wheel track, straight up. That to me, the '89 49ers are still the greatest team that I've ever seen on the field. Jerry Rice and John Taylor playing wide receiver, Brent Jones at tight end, Roger Craig and Tom Rathman at halfback and fullback. Of course, the great Joe Montana at quarterback, the great Steve Young as backup quarterback. That team was unbelievable.
If not forever in the NFL history, loses a Super Bowl to a backup quarterback by the name of Nick Foles. You want that on your resume? I wouldn't. Oh, no. Now, if you lose it to that bad man that is Aaron Rodgers, okay, I got that. You lose if Ben Roethlisberger was in the NFC and you lost to him. That makes sense. Hell, you could lose to Carson Palmer before he retired. That makes sense.
Lost a couple to Eli Manning.
That's right. Lost a couple to Eli Manning. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could go ahead and lose to Kirk Cousins. That's okay. Nick Foles? Really? That Tom Brady loses in the Super Bowl to Nick Foles. That's how obviously they're going up against different defenses. It's not like they're playing against each other.
And that very well could happen, especially if Nick Foles is able to play as well as he played in the NFC Championship game. Because Philadelphia, even with some crucial starters going down, they still have much more overall team talent than the New England Patriots. The problem is that the New England Patriots have Tom Brady, they're going to have Gronk, and they're going to have Belichick. So it's basically going to be a battle of wits versus brawn. We'll see what happens.
Tom Brady's got to go against Philly's defense. Nick Foles got to go against the Patriots defense. We understand the dynamics that come along with football. But in the end, what it comes down to, as my boy Maximilian says, the optics. Okay? The optics says, I'm Tom Brady. And I lost a Super Bowl to Nick Foles. There's something wrong with that picture. And I think based on that reality, that's why I would draw the conclusion that he's got more to lose.
That's a bold argument to argue a 5-time Super Bowl champion has more to lose than to gain. But
I agree with Max. I just don't see it. I don't believe that Tom Brady has more to lose. Either way, whether he wins or loses, his detractors are still going to be his detractors. After you won 5 Super Bowls, after a certain level of success, if people are still trying to nitpick at you. There's just nothing that you can do. It's like a Floyd Mayweather. People claiming that he ducked this person and ducked that person. A fighter who's beaten the most world champions of anyone in history, and they still have something to say. So it is what it is. You have to move forward.
I'm not even going to try to undermine your argument. I'm going to just make an affirmative case for why he has more to gain.
Okay.
And it is the magic number 6 in American team sports, because Bill Russell won all his championships, in the pre-modern era, right? It wasn't the modern era, the absorption of the ABA teams in the NBA, three-point shot, however you want to define it. Mm-hmm. It was the old days in black and white where people, we don't really count it anymore, right?
Yes, that is alleged by many so-called NBA aficionados. I had a Kobe Bryant fan tell me that Bill Russell does not deserve to be in the top 10 all-time greatest NBA players because he played back in the 60s where there was only 9 teams. Let me say this. The reason why I don't have Bill Russell on my number 1 all-time NBA list is because of that fact. But when you also factor in the truth that he was the best high school player in the nation, he was the best college player in the nation, and won the NCAA championship, then went to the Olympics and won the gold medal, went to the Boston Celtics, a team that had never won anything until he got there, and won in 11 out of 13 seasons. And then after he left, they didn't win for another 5 years. You have to put Bill Russell in the top 10. And it's amazing to me the lack of respect that the great Bill Russell gets. This is a player who, like I've stated, was a mixture of Kevin Garnett and Dennis Rodman. Dominant player. And all you have to do is ask his peers when you look at the amount of MVPs that he won. Just because he averaged 13 points a game does not make him an all-time great player. As usual with Kobe Bryant fans, they have a very, very low understanding of the game and very poor basketball IQ. The average Kobe Bryant fan does not understand the game of basketball at all. They're a bunch of NBA 2K NBA fans.
So people have kind of forgotten about Bill Russell and Michael Jordan, who is practically unanimously considered the greatest basketball player of all time and even the greatest athlete in history of at least American team sports.
I would agree with that. That Jordan is not only the greatest NBA player of all time, but also the greatest athlete in team sports. Why is that? Because Michael Jordan is the only professional athlete that I can think of who was expected to be brilliant in every performance and pretty much lived up to it in every performance. He had his shortcomings here and there, of course. When he came back from retirement, the series against Orlando, he just was not in the physical condition to come through like he was supposed to. He came back the next year and redeemed that by sweeping a team in Orlando that really was supposed to win 2 or 3 championships. That Orlando team was as stacked a team as there's been in the NBA in the last 30 years that never won anything. That's what makes Jordan number 1. And if Tom Brady's able to win a 6th title, that will certainly put him in the room with Michael Jordan. There's no doubt about that. Even though I know the Tom Brady haters will talk about how every Super Bowl he's won was rigged.
Sports has 6 championships. 1 more than Magic Johnson. 1 more than Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan, the number 6, is a big deal.
Especially because Jordan led his team to 6. Once again, Kobe did not lead his team to 6. And those are the distinctions that I make. That's why I have my top 10 list the way that I have it, because not only do the impact, numbers, championships that you led your team to, the ability to be great no matter who is the coach, things of that nature. But Brady will certainly be, well, Brady, quite frankly, is in the room with Jordan right now. He's in the room. He's sitting at the same banquet table. He's just not at the head of the table. When you talk about all-time great athletes who've had success in on team sports, you're talking about Michael Jordan, you're talking about Kareem, you're talking about Tom Brady, Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle. These are the guys that you're talking about who put up great numbers and also led their team to championship victories. Now, I make a distinction between baseball and other sports because in baseball, an individual is not as impactful on their sport as a basketball player is. So to me, it's less brag-worthy to talk about a player winning multiple championships in baseball than it is in basketball, because you're playing both ends and you can literally affect every play. A baseball player cannot affect every play. Now, he can affect when he's up to bat. He can affect when the ball is hit at him on defense, and he can affect when he's on the base paths. But Michael Jordan could literally affect every play. And all you have to do is look at the last 45 seconds of Game 6 in Utah in '98 to see that. That's the big difference.
Brady is sitting on 5. Now, Stephen A., he can't lose in terms of how he's going to be compared to other football players. He's already passed Joe Montana, already passed Terry Bradshaw.
I'm holding my heart like Fred Sanford. Elizabeth, they're coming up to join you, honey. You are not about to compare Tom Brady to Michael Jordan, are you?
You and I are on the same page about that.
Oh.
It is an outrage to compare Tom Brady, who for most seasons of his career was not considered the best player in his sport, to Michael Jordan. Qualitatively, they are a universe apart.
I wouldn't say that they're a universe apart, but there's certainly a big disparity, not only because of the level of excellence that Jordan was able to sustain, but also the sports are just different. Michael Jordan was dominant on offense and defense.
Okay.
However, just because you and I think that, you think people aren't good. They've already started to write that. Has Brady surpassed Jordan if he wins 6? The 6 championships will take Brady away from just being called the greatest football player ever. Greatest, not best. Accomplished the most.
And that's good for Max to make that distinction. Because the best football player I ever saw was Jerry Rice. And of course, you have people who saw Jim Brown. My dad always tells me that Jim Brown was the best football player that he ever saw. But in regards to the best football players I've ever seen, it's Jerry Rice and Lawrence Taylor. And then probably third would probably be Deion Sanders. And just in regards to dominance and overall impact. And Ray Lewis also is right there.
And people will begin to make the argument that it is Brady and not Jordan who is the greatest athlete in the history of American team sports. They'll be wrong-headed, but they will do it. Brady has more to gain.
6 championships, Tom Brady. I guess because you got idiots out there who will compare him to Michael Jordan, there's some credence to that argument. But I'm going to repeat myself. Tom Brady loses Super Bowl 52 to Nick Foles. Really? I don't know about that one. I understand
that really hurts his legacy.
Well, listen. I'm saying to you.
Even Molly is saying that if Tom Brady loses the Super Bowl, it's not going to hurt his legacy. He's still going to be viewed by the vast majority of media cognoscenti that Tom is still going to be considered the greatest quarterback at the very least. And some will still try to push him as the greatest player, but no. Tom Brady, to me, is not even the greatest quarterback. As I've already stated, I have Joe Montana there. And I think Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen.
To you that I believe it would hurt if Nick Foles goes out there. Obviously, if the Eagles defense shows up and they replicate the New York Giants and their 2 Super Bowl victories over the New England Patriots, and you rush 4 and that's it, and you drop 7 in the secondary, and Tom Brady is laughing and chuckling at the thought that you're gonna limit his offense to 17 points and 20 points, and that's what the Philadelphia Eagles defense does. Of course, that's not the same. But what if Nick Foles goes out there and throws for damn near 400 yards? What if he looks like the second coming of Joe Montana? And what if he outduels Tom Brady? That's a different ballgame, y'all. That's a different ballgame.
Nick Foles will get more credit than Tom Brady will get hurt by that.
I'm just saying, you could say, yeah, he'd get more credit, but you're sitting there, Tom Brady. It's like, I lost to Nick Foles. In other words, if I'm able, this is all I mean by that. This is all I mean by that. If you are Nick Foles, and you are going up against Tom Brady, and you have gone out there and outperformed Tom Brady, that's a problem. If we're able to look at him and say he just played better than you. Now, if one defense shows up and the other doesn't, that's different. But if you're able to literally sit there and say, damn, he outplayed Tom Brady. That's a problem.
Here's the good part. I don't think we have to worry about that. I don't think we have to worry about that.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Tom Brady is great, but he is not what he used to be in regards to accuracy. He does throw errant passes now. It's just sometimes he's able to pull it together because New England operates a lot out of they utilize a lot of short passing game. But, when Tom Brady throws long down the field, he does throw a lot of errant passes. You never know what can happen. Throw a couple of interceptions, as long as the coach of Philadelphia understands how to utilize the pace of the game properly, runs the ball like he's supposed to, If they get a lead on New England, they should win because they certainly have a better roster from top to bottom. I think that really the main thing that will stop Philadelphia from winning is if Foles implodes and or their coach decides that he wants to get pass happy. Because there's not much that New England has to threaten Philadelphia with in regards to downfield passing. Not unless the cat that they got from New Orleans is able to beat his defender on a deep route. And Gronk, of course, I expect him to be impactful, but they need to lay some wood on Gronk to try to see if they can revive that concussion that he has. Other than that, I just don't see Tom Brady dominating them. If you had to, if I had to give a prognostication for who's going to win this game, I would say New England. Most likely about 27-23, something like that. But that's if New England plays a perfect game. Because to me, Philadelphia is a much better team than them. But when you factor in Brady, Gronk, and Belichick, they normally find a way to outsmart their opponent.
I'm not sure about that. I'm just saying I'm not sure about that.
Horses for courses. If Peterson continues to do what he's done and they have the run-pass option, and all that stuff, and he doesn't have to make a lot of reads, maybe Nick Foles can have a good game against a lesser defense and Tom Brady against a superior defense. I think, Stephen A., you're missing the argument because I don't think it affects his legacy, outdueled by Nick Foles. He's 40 years old. He's in his 8th Super Bowl. He has 5 championships. Now, if the way the game plays out, we look and go, if he was a little more mobile, that would have really helped him. Or if he gets hurt, knock wood, that doesn't happen. But if he gets hurt and they don't have Jimmy G coming in off,
I don't even think that if Philadelphia's defense were to collapse on Tom Brady and Brady were unable to escape because of lack of mobility, that would necessarily be an indicator that Brady's performance was poor or subpar, because Brady's not known for being mobile in the first place. He's always pretty much looked like some type of loafing elephant whenever he tries to run or move. He just does not move well. Philadelphia has a very, very good chance, but it's pretty much going to rely on their coach not trying to outsmart himself, sticking to what's working during the game, understanding the importance of pace in the game, and trying to choke out the Patriots. You had to choke them out, and that means the running game. You have to run on the Patriots to beat them. No matter how well Foles is playing, do not abandon the run game.
He will be compared to what Jimmy G might have done, considering Garoppolo's 5 games in San Francisco, considering Garoppolo's now 7-0 as a pro. If he has the kind of game that says Cliff, as some idiot on TV has been saying for 18 months, right? If he has that kind of game, then people will say, they traded Garoppolo, there's the remaining Tom Brady, they didn't have a guy on the bench.
No, that's what you will say. They couldn't keep Garoppolo. Everybody knows that was a business decision. They had to remove Garoppolo because the owner, Bob Kraft, would not let Belichick choose Garoppolo over Brady, which is what he clearly wanted to do. It's very obvious that Bill Belichick wanted to prove that he could win with a quarterback other than Tom Brady. And it's understandable because once Belichick is gone, if he's unable to win a Super Bowl without Brady, there's always going to be this cloud over his accomplishments, and he knows that.
On the bench.
You said to me that I'm messing up my own argument. I would say you're messing up yours for the last 18 months, because I'm here to tell you something right now, Max. According to you, if that clip is coming, this is it. This could be the very last time we see Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Is that the indelible memory you want to leave in the mind's eye of everybody watching? That the last time we saw you on a big stage, you got outplayed by Nick Foles? I mean, is that what you really want to see?
The fact that he got the fact, if you listen, Joe Montana lost in the AFC Championship game, right, when he went to the Chiefs. But we just give him credit because old Joe Montana, who was clearly past his prime, got to an AFC Championship game.
Beyond that, Joe Montana showed his greatness with that Kansas City Chiefs team, because he went from a team that everyone viewed as being stacked, which they were, the 49ers were, and went to a whole other team, and in 2 years got them to an AFC Championship game. Joe Montana, without a doubt, to me, the greatest quarterback I've ever seen.
Got them to an AFC Championship game.
Tom Brady has raised the bar. He's raised the bar because he's won 5 Super Bowls, not 4 like Montana. And his numbers as his career went on have gotten better and better, right? He starts to put up like Peyton Manning type numbers.
Well, that's why many people believe that Tom Brady's on performance-enhancing drugs. I had one brother say that he believes that Tom Brady is a Manchurian candidate. In regards to Tom Brady being a monarch athlete, he most likely is. Wouldn't shock me. Most of your top athletes are monarchs, especially the athletes who are extremely single-mindedly focused on their craft, addictively focused on their craft. Many of them are monarchs. Not saying all of them, but a good amount. So it would not shock me at all if Tom Brady is a monarch athlete.
So the fact that he got there, he gets all the credit. Even if he loses this game. If he wins this game, which is why he has more to win, he will be unfairly and unthinkingly put in the argument with Michael Jordan. There's more for him to gain.
All right.
I certainly agree with Max Kellerman on this debate. I think that Stephen A. Smith is... Stephen A. makes some credible points. It certainly won't look good on Tom Brady's resume to lose to Nick Foles, but there's no doubt that should Tom Brady win, there's going to be a litany of sports reporters, scribes per se, who are going to try to compare Tom Brady to Michael Jordan. But anyway, peace.